Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this live, interactive telephone town hall with Pennsylvania Labor and Industry Secretary Jerry Oleksiak and UC Benefits Policy Director Susan Dickinson. My name is Dirk, and I'll be the moderator today. The purpose of this call is to provide you with helpful information and to answer your questions, as well as update you on Pennsylvania's unemployment benefits programs during the COVID-19 pandemic. As mentioned, this is an interactive forum, and we would love to hear from you. We'll be taking as many questions from participants as we possibly can live during this event. If you have a question, you can press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. They'll take down your name and where you're calling from. The next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and able to ask your question directly. If you are streaming the event on our website, you can simply type your name and question below the streaming player. Again, to ask a question via the phone, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. We do receive a lot of questions on our live events, so if we're not able to get to your question, please send us an email at uchelp@pa.gov. So let's get this call started with opening remarks from Secretary Oleksiak. Secretary, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Dirk, and thank you to all of you who have joined us today for our 24th virtual town hall. We appreciate your participation. Let me start with some numbers. Since March 15th, we have paid nearly $30.4 billion in unemployment compensation. About $5.5 billion of that is from traditional unemployment, and the remainder is from the CARES Act and from extended benefits programs at the federal and state level both. We have, between March 15th and September 26th, 97% of eligible claimants who filed for regular unemployment compensation have either been paid or deemed not eligible for benefits, and we continue to work on that 3%. The weeks move forward, so we are up to late September. We have cleared claims, and we're continuing to work on getting that backlog done. Our UC Service Center staffing levels have increased over 170% since mitigation efforts began in mid-March. We had 775 employees, and we're now over 2,100 employees. So we will continue to do what we can to get those benefits out the door. Our staff has worked since March 15th, almost 385,000 hours of overtime in our UC Service Center staff call centers. And we've also responded to over 3 million emails, phone calls, live chats, and virtual assistance calls. So we continue to improve our technology. We continue to improve the timeliness of getting to calls and emails. We know it's not enough. We continue to, we hear people that are having difficulties getting through, and we are doing all we can because we will not be satisfied, as I say every week, until everyone who is eligible for benefits has received those benefits. Excuse me. Some updates on fraud. I want to take a few minutes to give you a status on the continuing issue of unemployment benefits fraud that is occurring, as it has been in states across the country, including Pennsylvania. As we remind you every week, it's important to remain vigilant against the fraud and to recognize the warning signs. Over the past several weeks, we've announced new attempts by fraudsters to steal information or unemployment benefits from claimants. Every time we suspect a new scheme, we immediately take necessary action to block that fraud and protect claimants. We do that in conjunction with other states across the country, with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, and with our own internal fraud investigation unit. Recently, we've noticed an influx of PIN reset requests. And while claimants legitimately need to reset their PIN from time to time, the sudden surge came alongside requests to also change the address the new PIN would be sent to. We strongly suspect this is a new scheme by fraudsters to redirect the reset PINs to mailing addresses where they can have access to them. If successful, this effectively blocks legitimate claimants out of their accounts and provides fraudsters with full access. So to protect claimants and prevent this fraud scheme, L&I is now only sending PIN change requests to the original address from which the claimant filed their claim. If the claimant needs to change both their PIN and the address, they must contact the UC Service Center at 888-313-7284 and provide additional identity verification. So let me repeat that so you're clear. Because of this new fraud scheme that's going on, we will be sending PIN change requests only to the original address from which the claimant filed the claim. So if you do have to change both your PIN and your address has changed, you must contact the UC Service Center at 888-313-7284. We're asking each of you to be on high alert and to always guard your personal information. L&I will never ask for your username or password, and you should never give that to anyone. We will never ask you for your full Social Security number, maybe the last 4 digits, but we will not ask for your full number. As we've said before, I've been on the receiving end of some scam attempts, and these people can be very charming. They act like they're caring and like they really want to help, but they're just trying to rip you off. And it's important that you remain vigilant as we all must. So if you have questions about that, you can always go to uc.pa.gov to find information on the warning signs, what you can do about it, if you think you're a victim, and how to return benefits that you may have received that you didn't apply for or weren't entitled to. One last reminder, we continue with the Lost Wages Assistance Program through L&I. We have not depleted the $2.8 billion that we received from FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. We know that there will be no further funds provided. So we continue to encourage you, if you have not yet applied, to go to uc.pa.gov to find more information on the Lost Wages Assistance Program. With that, Susan and I will be happy to take your questions. Thank you, Dirk.
Thank you very much, Secretary. And as a reminder, if you have a question you'd like to ask, please press *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. And if you're streaming the event on our website, all you need to do is type your name and question below the streaming player. So again, to ask a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad or enter your name and question below the streaming player on the website. We're off to Caitlin, who joins us now. Caitlin, welcome to our call. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. Good morning or afternoon. I have a question about my pandemic unemployment assistance. On the 30th of September, I was apparently put under an investigation case, and it said it would only take 21 days for the claim decision to be made. It's now been 6 weeks, and I haven't received any sort of contact for information. It says that my account is no longer under review, and I've sent messages on the website, but nobody has gotten into contact with me. So I was wondering if I don't know, I can't. So my question is just like, why is it, why are my checks not being delivered? It says everything is still in progress for the last 6 weeks of the payment to be made to me.
Hi, Caitlin. So it could be a multitude of things. It is hard to say without actually, seeing the claim. If there is something that's under review, for example, the one that we've seen the most is identity verification, in which case you should just check your dashboard for an identity verification message, and then, follow the link from your dashboard, and then, verify who you are through that software. It's a third party called ID.me that does our verifications for identities. Or it could be some other issue, let's say when you were answering questions or something came up, and there, we need more information from you. it is tough to say without seeing an actual claim because, eligibility is like a week-to-week type of a test. No matter which type of program you're on, it's a week-to-week test. So, that's why we have people file weekly, is to check their information, see if anything's changed, just, making sure that everything is still okay with them receiving benefits. So depending on what it is, that would determine what has to happen on the back end. I thought I'd heard you say that part of it was resolved. So if there is something that has been resolved, that means that a determination may have been issued in your case to resolve the issue. Or, if it has been resolved, your payments actually may have gone out. Now, you had mentioned checks, and I don't know if you really meant that literally, but we actually don't issue checks on this program. It's all debit cards. It's all done by debit card. So if you have your debit card from U.S. Bank, you need to make sure that is activated and that you're able to retrieve your funds off of your debit card. But it is hard to say, so I hope some of that general information helps. But in most cases, it really is an identity verification type issue. So all you have to do is just watch your dashboard messages, and you will receive a message at some point to verify your identity if that is the case. And then you can, in order to do that, it's a very quick process. You can just answer a few questions about yourself or upload documentation, and then that should take care of that. And then payments would be released automatically once that is taken care of.
Thank you very much, Susan. We're joined now by Damon. Welcome to the call, Damon. Go ahead with your question, please.
Hello, yes. So on the call 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to ask about determinations. I'm still waiting for mine. I had initially filed in July, and I wanted to get an update on that and see where it's at. See if you're able to kind of give us a review of like what weeks you're at, anything of that sort.
Hi, Damon. So when it comes to the non-monetary determinations, which is I think what you're talking about, the non-mons as opposed to the monetary determination, which is the upfront determination about your wages. The non-monetary determinations we still have a lot of those, and we did. I don't know if you've listened in past weeks, but we do have a contractor helping us now, Ernst & Young. And Ernst & Young, they got trained about 3 weeks ago, and now they have been taking on cases to do the fact-finding. So what they're doing is they're making, they're doing the heavy lift. They're making the phone calls to people and to employers and to, get all sides of the story. And they're collecting that information for us so that our examiners can then just make a decision and then move on real quick, kind of like an assembly line. So at this point, Ernst & Young, they're finally, I think, getting in a good flow. It's always when you have something new, it takes a little bit. But we are in about the third week. Actually, it might be the midst of the fourth week now. So let's see, yours is from July, you had mentioned. So that one would be one that's coming up real soon because depending on the issues, some of them take longer than others. So it's not necessarily in an order of, oldest to newest. Like even with our internal staff, more experienced staff can handle some issues, and some issues take longer than others to resolve. Newer staff can handle some other types of issues. So it really isn't like just a linear type of progression, if that's how you were kind of imagining it. Depending on your issue, for example, if you were an educator and you might have a reasonable assurance issue, that's something that definitely has to be handled by one of our more senior adjudicators. But if you have, an issue of, we have individuals who weren't able to file on time because they couldn't reach us on the phone, and now they need to request weeks that are in the past that they didn't file for because they couldn't reach us. That's something that one of our newer staff are able to take care of because that's a less complicated issue. So that's kind of how we have things sorted out by different types of issue, and of course, the more we have help, the more we can have our more senior people focusing on the ones that they need to focus on and not having to worry about the other ones. The other individuals helping us can focus on those easier type of tasks. So I know it is frustrating for you, having not received anything since July. But, I think real soon they are really helping us. They're gearing up now, and we're able to move through these a lot faster. So it's working out pretty well, and we should see some good results within the next few weeks. So just keep watching your mail, and you should receive a determination fairly soon. And if you don't in, say another 2 weeks or so, and you want a status, certainly send an email to uchelp@pa.gov and just ask, what the status is. Our amount of emails drops all the time, so we're definitely more caught up on emails than we have been in the past, and you'll probably get a fairly quick response, even if it is just for someone to confirm that it's still being worked on. At least it'll give you some sort of information.
So as a reminder, if you have a question you would like to ask live on this call, please press star 3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. Again, if you're listening to this conversation on your phone, please press star 3 to enter the question queue. If you're streaming this event on our website, all you need to do is type your name and question below the streaming player. Matter of fact, let's do a couple of online questions. The first one comes from Kim, who asks, does EB also expire with PUA and PEUC on December 26th, or will EB go into 2021? Also, is there any word on EB being extended beyond 13 weeks?
Hi, Kim. Those are all great questions. So let's talk about the different programs first. To your first question, EB does extend beyond the end of the year. It's the only program other than regular unemployment that does. PEUC and PUA, those will be ending in December. The $600 FPUC that ended back in July, and the lost wages assistance, the $300 extra pay, that ended back with September 5th. So the only program other than regular unemployment that continues into next year is extended benefits. And the extended benefits program is tied to the insured unemployment rate or the total unemployment rate in Pennsylvania. It looks at both. There's different unemployment rates, and it looks at both of them, and they have to meet certain thresholds in order for the program to continue. So it will continue until the unemployment rate is much lower. It could be. So we don't know. We can't predict exactly when it's going to end. What will happen is the federal government, they are the ones who publish all of those rates. They publish them every Thursday, and they watch it and we watch it for when it gets close. And then at some point, the program triggers off. That's the terminology they use. It triggers off, and after it triggers off, the program ends 3 weeks later. So at that time, when it triggers off, we send everyone a notice saying, and put it on our website, et cetera, saying, hey, this is going to end in 3 weeks. And so if you have any additional weeks after that, they won't be paid. So remember, extended benefits is a maximum of 13 weeks of benefits. So, of course, if someone simply exhausts their benefits, they won't have any more left beyond that. However, if they did have some left and the program ended, they would not be entitled to receive those weeks after that. So with the question about it being extended, the PUA program, of course, all of the CARES Act programs, which are PUA and PEUC, and of course the $600 FPUC, those can only be extended by the federal government. So far there hasn't been any motion on that. Now, when it comes to PUA, there is a possible 7-week extension, but it doesn't apply to Pennsylvania. And that is because our Pennsylvania extended benefit program, the one that I was just talking about, will go beyond the end of the year, has an additional 7 weeks that could be available if it were enacted in our law and the unemployment rate was high enough. So we need both of those things to happen. So right now our legislature has not enacted it. It was something that was enacted 10 years ago temporarily, and then it sunset. So because Pennsylvania does not currently have the high unemployment period benefits in its law, that means that the PUA extension also can't happen. So we don't have those additional 7 weeks of either of those programs. So we do have more information about all of these programs on our website. If you or anyone else, wanted to go look at the various things and when their end dates are and how many weeks they're worth at www.uc.pa.gov. And we have a lot of resources out there that you can look through to see what's available. And that's also where to look if there are any types of extensions or anything like that. Our website is one of the first places where it's posted. So you'll be able to get more up-to-the-date information by checking it out, as we go along and try to notify everyone about any type of extension or any program ending.
Our next question comes from Carolyn, who submitted online. And Carolyn asked, is there a special form for working in 2 different states to file for UC?
Hi, Carolyn. There's not necessarily a special form, but there is a special behind-the-scenes procedure that happens. With our regular unemployment claim, if you have a regular claim, you don't have any issues, you were simply laid off, and everything seems fine, then the system actually processes your claim right away. It doesn't even get touched by staff at all. It doesn't need to be. And everything gets mailed to you, and you can start your claims and start getting your payments automatically. There's no human intervention needed. Now, when it comes to the having out-of-state wages, what would happen is that, one of 2 things. If you worked in Pennsylvania enough to actually financially qualify on its own without any other state, you'll get a financial determination, but you're going to notice that all of your wages from another state are missing, and you're going to have to contact us to have those added. And why would you want those added? You would want those added if it's going to raise your weekly benefit rate. If you have some that are, if it was less and it wouldn't make a difference, you may not care. But generally, if you have a higher quarter somewhere, or you can add wages within a quarter to each other, then it'll give you a higher rate, and you're going to want to contact us to get the higher rate. Of course, if there isn't a question in the initial application which asks you if you've worked in another state, and it asks you which states. So when you indicate that to us, on the back end, we're going to look and we're going to see which other states it is and if there's wages available for you. So what would happen is, if we think you can qualify without them, we might issue you the original determination to say this is your weekly benefit rate, just to give you payments until we can get the rest of those wages. And raise your rate. And then we'll just issue supplemental payments to you. Our focus is to try to get payments out quickly and not have to make you wait if you don't have to, even if they're only, partial payments for what you should be getting. So we would issue the determination, give you some payments, and then when we get the rest of the wages from the other states, then we would issue you supplemental payments if they're warranted. Getting wages among all the different states, it's all done through one system that all the states share, but it connects to other states' systems, so it's not totally automatic. Like the other state still has to take action on it, is what I'm trying to say. So it's not like I can go into the system and I see you have wages in Texas and I just take them. It doesn't work that way. Texas has to actually act on it. They have to, verify that you don't have a claim there, that your wages haven't been used already, and then they can send them to us, and then we can use them. So as you see, it is all behind the scenes. So there's nothing you particularly would have to fill out. At worst, if you say that you worked in another state and that other state doesn't have any wages for you, then what happens is a wage investigation has to happen in that other state, and you may have to produce to them your pay statements or any other evidence of pay that you have. And then, every state, I'm sure, has a different way of doing wage investigations. Pennsylvania has its own way, but in that case, the other state would have to do it and obtain information from you. So I hope that helps. I know we don't have a lot of information on our website about out-of-state wages and that whole process, only because it is very detailed, and it's mostly behind the scenes. It's something that the public doesn't really see too much of. But, if you have any questions, you can email us at uchelp@pa.gov, and we can, speak to those specific questions. We can give you answers, that apply to your situation.
Going back to the phones now, we've got Kenneth on the line with us. Welcome to the call. Go ahead with your question, sir.
Yes, I have filed for the 4th of October and the 18th of October and the 1st of November. I haven't received my payments for that, and I went to check my claim. When I went to check my claim status, it said there was an issue with my claim that needed to be reviewed, and the payments cannot be issued and cannot be received until this issue is resolved, and I should keep filing. So I have, and I also had a letter come about my benefits being exhausted, so I filed for the PEUC. So my question is, when will I get that determination letter, and why haven't I received the payments for the weeks that I have filed?
Hi, Kenneth. So if, depending on where you are in the claim series, could have an effect on this. So I actually thought in the beginning that you had a new claim, but then you said that you received an exhaustion notice. So I'll cover both situations anyway. If you have a new claim, then what we do is we hold payment until we can investigate any issue that you raised on your application, and that's to prevent overpayments, because we don't want to pay you money and then have to tell you down the line, oh, you know what, you shouldn't have gotten this money, we want it back. We try to avoid doing that. We don't want to do that. So, we generally hold payments until we can make a decision, and then we issue the decision and can let the money be paid. So unless it's denied, in which case you can then go to a referee and appeal your decision. But you had said that you got an exhaustion notice, so I'm thinking maybe you were toward the end of your unemployment claim, which means there would have been something, in either something that you had said when you were filing for benefits, when you were answering the questions. For example, I know there's not a lot of questions when it comes to biweekly filing, but one of them is, were you able and available? A lot of people answer that incorrectly and would otherwise be denied benefits. But we do contact people, and if they say they made a mistake, then we can move on. So either you raise something there, or you're part of a cross-match. Sometimes we do get cross-match hits from various sources, where we have, a cross-match hooked up, an agreement to look for, a situation where there may be no eligibility for benefits, where we would have to, stop payments to someone, issue a determination, and deny benefits. So it could be a cross-match hit. I can't think of any other examples other than we get the information from a third party, or it was something that you said yourself in your filing that raised an eligibility issue. So you had said that you had filed for PEUC, so that's good. So when you are finishing your regular unemployment claim, PEUC, if the money has run out, PEUC will set up automatically. But if the end of your year has happened, then you definitely should file. And it doesn't hurt anything to apply, even if you are going to be set up automatically. We have a way of taking out duplicates so that we're not setting up someone twice. So if you are moving from claim to claim and there's an eligibility issue, your PEUC payments won't begin until the eligibility issue is complete, figured out. So if there is something that we're still investigating from the first claim, then when you go on to PEUC, make sure you keep filing. Don't forget to file. You want to file every 2 weeks. But we will, be issuing a determination when that's done, and then you'll get your benefits that way. So I hope that helps. I know it's a little generic, without knowing the actual issue, it's hard to say exactly what's happening, but hopefully that gives you some idea of what the process is like when an issue is raised.
Just a quick note, we're about halfway through this virtual teletown hall, so if you have a question you want to ask, now's the time to press *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. Again, if you would like to ask a question live on this call, now's the time to press *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. Our next caller, we've got Antonio joining us. Welcome to the call, Antonio. What's your question? Hello, Antonio.
Hello, how you doing? I'm just curious, trying to find out. My wife and I, we moved to Georgia August 5th, and we put in the information into the portal with the change of address, which initially flagged up our accounts. And since then, we had an examiner reach out to us in August, and we're both on PUA, and she told us to file our 2019 taxes and upload those documents into the portal. We have done that, and it's been about 3 months. Just on Monday, my wife got her claim released, but I'm still waiting for an examiner to review my claim. And I think it's been almost 3 months, and I've already lost my car, my Lincoln, and I'm just really stressed out to the point I'm trying to figure out when are these examiners going to call us, and if not, how do we reach out to someone in the examiner's office? Because, it's been a little bit over 3 months now. I haven't gotten any payments. She was able to backdate her claims on Monday, and she just received the payments today. But I still haven't. I even reached out to the state representative and everything last week, Jim Cox, and had the claims forwarded over. So I'm just trying to see if there's a way to expedite the process because, I'm already losing assets at this point.
Hi, Antonio. Well, actually, if they release payments for your wife and she received those today, then yours probably aren't far behind because there's various, because of all the fraud we're having, various flags and things that go onto people's claims. You had already mentioned, when you guys moved that you got a flag on your claim, and that makes sense. And having, the fact that two of you are filing from the same house, that also could raise an issue. So now that, since the two of you are, I don't want to say you're tied together exactly, our claim system doesn't exactly work like that. But if they've already collected the information from both of you and they got what they need and they've released her benefits, yours probably are close behind because it generally may even be with the same person to process. So if you had mentioned you had tried reaching out to them. I know their email account is a lot busier than the UC Help email account. So if you emailed the PUA account specifically, which is correct, that's, the correct account to use, they're a little more behind than with regular unemployment. But you can also try chatting. I know I'd mentioned that in previous weeks. You just want to make sure that you are particularly chatting since you are looking for specific help with your claim and not general questions. You'll have to get through the chat bot first, Paula, that's her name, and she will answer general questions. But at the end, if she hasn't answered your question, and clearly she won't be able to because she's not hooked up to the system, you can then proceed to talk to a staff person. And so just make sure that you are chatting while we have staff people, manning the chat. So that would be Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. And then they can see, where it's at and can send a message to someone, if it doesn't look like there's motion or it seems something's held up, they can send a message to the person to say, hey, we're looking for this. But I would say that the fact that your wife's was released is a good sign. That tells me they're making progress with that. But, in case you do want to check, then chat is probably your best way. And the staff who man chat can check both regular claims and they can check PUA claims. So they'll be able to see what's going on and take action if nothing's going on.
All right, the next caller's Glenn. Glenn, welcome to our call. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, I was employed through the VA in Uniontown, Pennsylvania, and got paid during the pandemic. But when they ran out of funds, I applied for regular unemployment because I was no longer, they weren't going to call anybody back to the VA center in Uniontown. And I've applied online, I did the chat thing, and this has been going on since June, and I still have not received unemployment.
Hi, Glenn. Yeah, that is a long time. June. I mean, we've pretty much caught up with everything from the beginning of the pandemic. So that does kind of raise a question in my mind about why that would be still ongoing. So I don't know if you have some sort of a, there's two types of issues on claims. There's the monetary issue, which is about your work history and the amount of money you get. And then there's the non-monetary issues, which are about other reasons why unemployment eligibility may be questionable. Maybe there's something else going on. So it would, one of those two reasons is usually the case. Either there's some holdup with your monetary, but if you've already received your financial determination telling you how much money you get each week, then that's probably not the issue. It then falls to some other reason. That could be, the reason that you reported as to why you're separated, or it could be some other reason, like if you reported that you have a pension. There's a whole list. If you have internet access and you can get to our website, you can search for UC-41. That's a UC-41. That's a form that actually explains all the non-monetary issues and what they are and why they affect your eligibility. And actually, I should back up a little. Even before the issues, we do frequently see, individuals who don't quite, they may be new to unemployment and not quite sure how the process works. So I'm not sure, if you're familiar with how it works or not. But you can refer to our troubleshooting guide on our website in the frequently asked questions, because it is amazing how often we have individuals who, for example, don't realize they have to file for benefits every other week. They opened their claim and then never did another thing because they didn't think they had to. And that's why they're not getting benefits. Another reason is, individuals may be getting paid too much. Let's say you're working part-time, you're reporting your earnings. I think a lot of individuals think if they're not working full-time that they're eligible, but that's not true. It's all based on how much money you earn. So you may not have any, if you are filing and working part-time, you may not have any benefits coming your way. Another frequent, issue that we see, individuals may not realize that we are paying them and their payments are going to the debit card and not their direct deposit account. Direct deposit accounts frequently have problems. For example, if you transpose some numbers, when you first submitted the application or something like that. And that's why everyone receives a debit card, even on regular UC, in order to receive payments, even if there is a problem with your bank or with your account. So that's another thing. So we have some of those basic things in the troubleshooting guide, but it also goes beyond that. It goes into, interstate wages and a lot of more detailed things. So if, I think you had mentioned you were with the VA. I know that that's like a federal wage issue. So if the federal wages haven't been received, someone may be waiting for federal wages for you. So June is a long time. I agree with that. So I recommend, if you can't get a hold of us by phone, to send an email to uchelp@pa.gov and, ask for a status on that one, because, June should be taken care of or mostly taken care of by now. So that would help to prompt, whatever's going on, or they can help you troubleshoot if it is one of those other items, and get you on the right path.
Moving on to a couple of online questions. Irene wonders, will an annotation be made on claims that Ernst & Young are reviewing so a claimant can at least know what stage their claim is in? And also, how will a claimant know if Ernst & Young is calling and not a scammer?
Those are very good questions. So, for the Ernst & Young work that they're doing and which claims they're working on, when those individuals are working on a claim, they are documenting it in your claim that they are calling, that they're the ones calling you. So if you ended up, chatting with some of our staff online or sending an email or something like that, they can see, there's no way for you to see it like from your payment portal on our website, but we can see that Ernst & Young is in touch with you. So we'd be able to give you that update, if you were asking, where is this? Has anyone contacted me? So we'll be able to see, that they are in process with your case. And to the question about, knowing if it's us, you'll know if it's us if it comes from our toll-free number, 888-313-7284. And I'll read that again slowly. That's 888-313-7284. That's the number that will show up. And what we suggest is that individuals save us, if you have a smartphone, save our number in your phone. That way when we call, for sure it's us because it's whatever, you've saved us as, and you know for sure that it's the right number. It's not just someone spoofing you. So they will, when Ernst & Young or an examiner or anyone calls you, they will leave a message if you don't answer, but make sure your voicemail is set up. This is a problem that we're running into a lot. If you don't have voicemail, of course, we can't leave a message. We can't get a hold of you. We generally attempt 3 times by phone. Now, if we leave a message, that's one thing, but if we don't have a message, we'll attempt 3 times, but then we have to move on because we have so many cases. So if we can't get a hold of you and we can't leave a message from you, we're not able to get in touch with you, then, it's going to slow things down for you. We do mail forms if we can't get a hold of someone eventually. So, you can watch your mail for our questionnaires as well. It's possible that they could show up there. And then what you want to do is you want to fill those out and get those back to us, right away. So, those are the big tips: is make sure you save our phone number in your phone, and also make sure that your voicemail is set up so that we can leave you messages, because that's very important to being able to get the information we need in order to make a decision on your claim and be able to move it forward.
All right, we've got another question that came in online. I just got my determination letter that made me eligible for UC. Will I still get my LWA payments?
So, it depends. So first, I'll just make sure. I think this is probably the 3rd time I mentioned it today. Sorry. We'll beat this horse to death. That there are 2 different kinds of determinations. That there's the monetary determination and a non-monetary determination. So when you get the monetary determination, you'll see front and center in capital letters, it says, this does not entitle you to benefits. It's only a monetary determination. If there's some other issue, you still may not receive benefits. So I just want to make that clear, just in case that is the kind of determination that you received. Now, if there was no other issue raised on your claim, then you will get payments with just the monetary determination. This is why we say, you open your claim, we'll issue you determinations, but what we need you to do is just to start filing biweekly. And then you'll know whether or not you're eligible. If we start making payments to you, you're eligible. So if you received a different kind of determination, you received a non-mon determination and it does say you're eligible, and you know that there's no other issues on your claim that need any other kind of determination, then, you are good to go with payments. Now, LWA is very specifically for particular weeks. It's for the week ending August 1st through September 5th. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, are you going to be paid those weeks on your claim? Let's say that you just opened your claim at the end of September. then you will not be getting any LWA payments because it's for the wrong weeks. But let's say you are getting payments. Let's say your claim you opened back in July, and we finally made a decision, and we're going to make payments to you, and you're moving forward. As long as you claimed those weeks doing your biweekly filing, then yes, you will receive payment for those weeks if you, now again, this gets complicated because it depends on what program you're on. If you're on PUA, you will get those payments automatically. If you're on regular UC or PEUC or EB, you do have to apply for those payments. It's very fast and easy. If you log in as if you're going to file biweekly claims, there's a blue button there that says apply for LWA. All you do is you click on that button, and it's going to ask you 2 questions. You answer those 2 questions and save it. So once you're done with that, and if everything is good, those payments will be made about a week and a half later after you do the application. So if you have done the application, here I'm trying to cover all bases. So I feel like I should have done a flow chart. So if you have done the application, you've done everything I've already talked about, you received your determination, you received your payments, the LWA payments are made it's kind of like an offset week from when your regular payments are made. So like if you finally received those payments for August, today or yesterday, then you're not going to see your LWA payment until next week. It's usually a week to a week and a half lag. If you're at all familiar with our FPUC program, which was the $600 payments made earlier in the year, it works the same way, where everyone who was due a payment for that week all got paid the same day. So it's not like we make nightly payments of FPUC and LWA. It only happens once a week. So that's why the payments aren't together with your regular payments. So that was a lot of detail. We covered a lot of topics there. Hopefully somewhere along the way, one of those situations was applying to you. And we still do have time for LWA. We still have plenty of money left to pay in LWA. So, right now, if you don't receive your payments for LWA within the next week or so, that means that, there may be some other issue. Maybe you didn't get your other benefits for the weeks in August yet, or maybe you didn't apply for LWA. Just be checking your account to see when you do get those $300 payments to make sure that they've gone through. And if not, you can just send us an email at uchelp@pa.gov, and we can help troubleshoot for you.
All right, as a final reminder, if you have a question you'd like to ask live on this call, please press *3 on your telephone keypad to enter the question queue. Back to the phone, we've got Joe joining us now. Joe, welcome to the call. What is your question?
Oh, hi, Susan. I filed a PUA claim back in September. About 3 or 4 weeks into the claim, I guess when you guys got overwhelmed with a number of claims with possible fraud, I got the investigation special case project. At that time, when I received that, the following week, I was unable to file the weekly certificate. It wouldn't allow me to do it for, I believe it was 2 or 3 weeks in a row. I finally got a hold of a representative, and she told me that she would be able to submit those weeks for me, which she did. After that, about 3 or 4 days after she did that, I got another issue on my dashboard saying weeks filed prior to BYB. Now, I looked at the documents that you guys recently released, and that's saying that there were weeks filed prior to February 2nd, before the CARES Act began, which is not the case at all. So I'm trying to find out why I received that message. I spoke to 2 reps this week. Neither one of them could give me an answer as to why. They told me don't worry about it, and that's kind of where we're at. Nothing has changed. We haven't received any funds yet, and both of those issues are still on the dashboard, the investigation special case project, and then weeks filed prior to BYB. I was wondering if you could tell me why that would happen after the rep submitted those 3 weeks for me. Thank you.
Sure, and actually, yeah, I can concur, what they're saying, weeks filed prior to BYB. BYB stands for benefit year beginning. So it would be, weeks filed prior to, I wouldn't necessarily think the beginning of the pandemic, but your benefit year, which would be dated, I think you said you filed in September. So all that means is that, if that's true, so you opened it a certain day and they're looking to file weeks for you before that week, that's fine. That's actually just a backdating request. And someone would just look at that and handle, they have to go in and approve backdating, and then it would pay those weeks. So that's the only thing I could, without seeing the actual claim, that's the only thing I could think about is that it's just weeks preceding when the claim was opened, and that's all that means. So once it's, approved for payment, then it'll go through. One thing that I will encourage you to do is to check your debit card account, just to make sure that to see if the money is there, and make sure that there is money there. You can, of course, your PUA dashboard is a good place to go to look at the status of the weeks. If the weeks don't say in progress and they actually have a I think there's like a few digit account, or not really account, a few digits on each week that kind of, it's like a receipt number almost. I forget what it's called. I forget what the column is, but and that shows that your payments were made. So make sure you're checking your debit card to see if the money is there, because it might actually be there already, or it'll be there once, someone, releases the payments or approves the backdating. And if there's any questions with the debit card, there's been some, issues with debit cards lately, but, U.S. Bank, they have a toll-free number that they can look and make sure. A while back there was an issue with, individuals receiving, getting their money sent to an old debit card as opposed to a new debit card. So if you've had unemployment in the last 3 years, check your old debit card, because that could be where the money is. In any case, I'm getting off on a debit card tangent now, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Make sure that you check your card to see if the money is already waiting for you. So hopefully that helps. The BYB, benefit year beginning. So your particular benefit year, it could just be if weeks are filed prior to when you open the claim, that could be the issue. If it's not holding up payments, then it probably isn't worth worrying about, but you could check your dashboard just to see how this all is interacting, and if it is holding up any type of payment, in which case we can then look at getting it resolved, but it shouldn't be holding up any type of payment for you.
Moving on to our next caller, we've got Gilbert on the line with us. Welcome to the call, Gilbert. Go ahead with your question, please. Hello, Gilbert. We'll try and get Gilbert back. Moving on, we've got Carol joining us now. Carol, welcome to the call. What is your question?
Hi. I already just spoke to someone, so I won't take up your time. I had someone just call me at the beginning of the session.
Okay. So thank you very much for participating. Have a great day.
Carol.
Thank you. You too. You too, Susan.
Bye, Carol.
All right. We're going to move on now to Robin. Robin, welcome to the call. What is your question?
Yes, I was calling back in the last week of June, first week of July. I put in my claim, and I answered something wrong. I tried to correct it, but it wouldn't let me. But since that point, I haven't been able to file my claim. Every time I go in, it does not let me file.
Hi, Robin. Actually, yeah, that makes sense. Unfortunately, the system, for some reason, the PUA system works that way. It's different than our regular unemployment system. So the PUA system, like if there's an issue, and you said you had answered something wrong, so that probably raised it as an issue. It doesn't let you file for weeks after that. And I, still, all these months into it, it is kind of an annoying feature. On regular unemployment, there may be an issue and it's going to alert us to an issue, but it's going to let you keep filing, and that's how it should be. So what's going to happen is when someone looks at the issue, and, as I mentioned, we're getting a lot of help now with our determinations. Ernst & Young isn't specifically working on PUA, but because they work on regular UC, that might also free up some of our examiners to help with PUA. Now that we're going to be going through these all a lot more quickly, what will happen is when someone finally does, get to your issue, and if, it's a non-issue and they're going to approve you for benefits, what they'll do is they'll end up just taking all of the information for all of those weeks for you, and then they have to file the weeks for you. That's most likely what will happen. I think if they approve the issue, it might let you file for weeks on your own, but I'm not totally sure about that. Generally, from what I've heard, it's usually staff having to assist people through multiple weeks of filing, if it's more than just the 1 week at a time. So clearly it's not your fault that you haven't been filing if the system isn't letting you. So at the time that we approve it, or, even if it's denied, but let's say you appeal it, at that time, we will be able to take all of the information for those weeks and just submit them for you, and then that should take care of that issue.
Susan, thank you very much for answering Robin's question as well as everyone else's today. We are coming to the end of this live event. We thank everyone for participating in today's L&I Town Hall. We appreciate the opportunity to speak directly with you and answer your questions. We turn now to Secretary Oleksiak for closing comments.
Thank you, Dirk. Thank you, Susan. And thank you to all of you who have joined the call this afternoon. You found it helpful and valuable. Thank you very much.
Now remember to stay informed with what's going on with Pennsylvania labor and industry. Please visit www.uc.pa.gov. And once again, if we were not able to address your question, please send an email to uchelp@pa.gov. Thanks to all of you for taking the time to join us for this call. We hope you stay healthy and safe and have a wonderful day.